Black people of faith can never show me their works. They can never show me their works. They'll tell you about how you need God, and they'll swear up and down, that things are broken because we left God, right? And they'll say you need God in order to fix this and fix that. And then when you ask them to show me your works, they can't show it to you. No matter where you go in this world, when you see congregations of black people, they're disproportionately poor. Or the people that you would consider wealthy, are an extreme minority, and they exploit their own people. Typically the type of shit that you see with Nigerians. Nigerians are so educated and everything else, which, yeah, they deserve some praise when they come here and they kick ass academically. But when you go look at the country as a whole, last time I checked, it was 73% of the population of Nigeria lives in abject poverty. So to me, that's not something to brag about. Like when you have rates like, let's take Switzerland, for example, when you have like over 90%, 95% of the population, living with some of the highest, what is it? The human index, the human wealth index or something like that. I forget exactly what it's called. But when you have nations that have very little poverty, and every home has electricity and running water and an Xbox or something like that, that's something to brag about. But, Africans, and I'm not just saying just to pick on Africans. I'm just saying nowhere in the world can you point to where the collective of black people, of faith, have produced anything. They always want to tell you about, we need faith in order to do this and then do that, right? Again, like I said, let somebody win the lottery. It's because God did it, right? But then when they don't have the money and you're asking a person of faith to produce something, then they'll tell you when they're broke, they tell you, it's not about the money. Money's the root of evil. God, doesn't reward you in that way. Soon as they get money, it's all because of God. It's all because of God. This is what my whole issue with faith, mentally speaking, because it doesn't make sense. There's no consistency. It's like water. It takes the shape of whatever container you put it in. It's like, it reminds me of quantum mechanics, where you have shit like quantum tunneling and matter's doing all type of weird shit. Subatomic particles are doing all type of weird shit that defy the laws of physics. That's religion to me. I've talked about this with the Jamaican dollar. Look at what the Jamaican dollar is to the US dollar. And Jamaica has more churches on that island per square mile than anywhere else on earth. Super religion. The whole Caribbean is like that. I've been to different Caribbean islands. The whole Caribbean is like that. And quiet as is kept, the wealthier people on those islands, they tend to be educated abroad. They may have gotten their whatever university they have there. They excelled at that university. They go abroad to finish their education with higher education, like a master's or above. Then they come back to the island and they work for the government. And then they just basically operate as, an elite clique of people that, they're intelligent. They know what's going on outside of the country. But the rest of the people, your average locals, oh man, they can't tell the difference between shit and piss. They're so magical. Everything is about God. They don't have anything. They don't have any sense. The people who interest me in the Caribbean are the people who have lived in the United States for a number of years. Usually it's about 10 years. You know what I mean? They come to the United States. They work in the United States for about 10 years. They go to New York or something like that. They see how people are making money, getting money. They see the world for what it is, the capitalism of it all. And then, big mama gets sick or their father gets sick. Somebody's got to take care of it. So they go back, they take their savings, they go back to the island. They're a lot more comfortable than what they were. They might start a business or something like that, but they're totally frustrated. And I know because I've spoken with them. They're totally frustrated at the lack of progress of their country. And it was coming to America that gave them the insight. They want to talk about money and see they love talking to me because I'm unapologetic about the religion thing. You got to be careful about that shit. Just like in Jamaica, you can't be running around being a bati boy, because there's violence against that shit. And truth be told, like they're not that whole not be subscribing to religion. That's some new shit for the island people. They're not used to that shit. To them, they'll just, what do you worship the devil? Worship anything. And again, they don't even realize how much of a coping mechanism it is. I'm like, you're living in, essentially like, and I guess in their country, it's not, they don't see it as poverty, but technically speaking, it's poverty. They got crazy shit. Like if you order something online, they got to pay like just these crazy tariffs. So they can't really import anything, right? So they got the local businesses, and I get it. You want to keep the local economy strong, and so they try to force people to buy locally, right? Because they don't want the big box stores to come there and whatnot. But here's the crazy thing. The few big box stores that they'll have on the islands, guess who owns them? The Indians and the Asians. So I'm like, it'll be a majority black nation. Go to the Caribbean. Go to any Caribbean island. You go into a jewelry store. They always try to get you to buy some diamonds or some shit. Go in the jewelry store. Ain't nothing but Indians and Asians in there. Every commodity that you think of. Indians and Asians make up a fraction of the island, a smidgen of the island. This is where you get the population of coolies and stuff like that for some of the people who hop the fence. But generally speaking, as a rule, they don't hop the fence. You got people who have been in the island, they speak with a Caribbean accent, Indian as fuck, been there for generation, unmixed. They keep that wealth in their own community. They get it. And these are people that, let the black Christians tell it, oh, they're polytheistic and they worship snakes and Vishnu and a man with an elephant head and Ganesh and all this other shit. Let them tell it. The Hindus, there's something that the Bible says shouldn't exist. Same with the Muslims. The Muslims will say, those polytheistic, multiple gods, there is only one God and that God is Allah, right? But yet, the black people that subscribe to Islam, the black people that subscribe to Christianity, they're always dustier than the Indians. The Indians always got their money right. Their shit's always straight. So, I'm asking you, show me your works. Show me where all this Bible thumping, Quran banging is beneficial to black people. Show me. Because the more magical, the more spiritual I see black people, and I've traveled all around, the more spiritual, the more religious, the more churches and stuff like that I see, the worse off the condition of black people. Now, you can talk about other groups. You can religion and try to point to other groups. No, don't get general with the religion. I'm talking about black people. Don't come over here. Oh, look at the Jews, and they subscribe to Judaism, and they're doing well. That's Jewish people. That's for them. See, they're not retarded. They're not like us where we get drunk and high off of religion. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else can seemingly handle religion in like moderation, right? They go and they're like, all right, I'm out of here. Alhamdulillah. All right, I'm gonna go make my money. Black people, on the other hand, no. Like we are spiritual to the point of just being crippled. just crippled. We're so magical and so, gushy and squishy, with the religion, that we seem to forget all about making money and the shit that makes the world go round. Right? We seem to forget how power and influence actually work, because we're so goddamn spiritual. Like again, Dr. Hendrik Clark said, we try to out-pope the Pope and out-Muhammad. This shit makes no sense. That's why I'm saying black people need to drop it. I don't care about what is going on with other people and how religion and their culture and their country and this, that, and the third, and how it works for them. That's them. That's not you. Anytime we touch it, we get all fucked up with it. It's like how some people can go to the bar, they can have a drink. Hell, they can even drive home buzzed, and they're good. They're not going to get a DUI. They can drive straight. Hey, I had a couple drinks. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of woo, but, I'm straight, right? And so they go off and they can do that, right? But when it comes to, black people, we are alcoholics when it comes to religion. You know what I mean? We can't have just a drink and then go home. No. Every time we drink religion, we got to get drunk. We got to get straight stupid with it. Right? And it's like, you can argue with me all you want. For further evidence, I direct you to the conditions of a black community nearest you. You can't show me your works. You can't even show me where a pocket of religious black people are doing particularly better than the black people that are out here engaging in hedonism and crime and all that other shit that totally goes against and contradicts the Bible and the Quran. You can't show me where black religious people are. They may feel that they're better, but again, the powers that be, they use that shit to try to get black people to conform, get you to fall in line, get you to accept your lot in life, without actually providing any sort of solution. That's what they do. And, you all just overlook that. I mean, these religions, these faiths, they are not indigenous to us. You'd have to go way back into ancient history. Way back into ancient times. That's what you would have to do before you get into, some real African spirituality. But, the Abrahamic, the Christianity, as we practice it in the United States, and as black people practice it in the Caribbean and practice it in the UK, as we practice it, that shit came from, outside of Africa, and was used as a tool to facilitate our enslavement, to put us in mental shackles, and we're still in those mental shackles. Same with Islam, mental shackles. And for some reason, black people just really resist it. They got to put God in everything. Oh, if we don't have God, what if we don't have God, we're going to be worse off than we already are? How far do you have to hit rock bottom? Like motherfucker, we done hit granite. You ain't digging any further. You ain't digging any further down than this. There gets to a point where people are like, you can't do to me more than what you've already done to me. I have nothing to lose. And I don't know how prostrate on the floor in poverty black people have to be before they realize there is no lower depth than this. There's always a constant. It sound like the single black mothers out here that always run around. Oh, if it wasn't for us holding it down, the community would just be in even worse conditions. Again, trying to defend, their single motherhood position, trying to defend some of the piss poor decisions and bad behavior that they engage in. It's like, no, the shit is fucked up because of the single mother situation. It's not a matter of, oh, if the single mothers wasn't holding it down and we wasn't rocking the foundation, then the community would just spiral out of control. And then you also get to a point where it's like, it needs to spiral out of control. It needs to crash. It needs to end. You know, when I think of that, I think of that scene on Amistad when that woman hopped up on the edge of that ship and held her baby and looked at Jaima Hansu and threw herself over the edge and said, nah, this shit needs to end. I ain't doing this. I'm not bringing my child into this. This needs to end. I'm ending it. You know, just black people just like, they want it. This, and that's what I hate about hope. You know what I'm saying? Because hope prevents you from quitting when you should have quit. You know, when you should have ended something. And the problem is when you're in this position, and I'm not suggesting that people, you know, actually quit and give up, but the problem is you run dangerously close to now accepting and normalizing that position at the bottom. Because in other words, there's no hole that's too deep for you. Because you always have hope. There's no situation that is absolutely unacceptable for you. You know what I mean? You hear, again, white people phrases. Give me liberty or give me death. Right? That's what they say. Think about that statement. Give me liberty or give me death. Black people? Well, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure that around that corner, there's greener pastures. And this has been going on for, 400 or 500 years. If you want to throw in the Arab slave trade, longer than that, almost 1,800 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, how long are you just going to be cool with this and just keep saying, trying to speak it into existence that tomorrow is going to be greener than today, or tomorrow is going to be sunnier than today? You know, there's no cutoff. There's no cutoff for you. There's no cutoff for your children. This is unacceptable. This is not going to go down. You know what I'm saying? And making people pay for fucking with you, making it say, hey, man, that's what the Arabs have done. The Arabs, they struck fear in the hearts of white people. Motherfucker, you don't see any more news articles talking about, I think I'm going to go off and draw the picture of Muhammad because it's my right in Western society to do as I please. I will draw. Them motherfuckers be running around, Allahu Akbar! You know, they come running out with their knives and their fucking TNT or running people over with their trucks and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Go ahead, draw. I dare you. I double dog dare you. Go ahead, draw the Prophet Muhammad, motherfucker. Go ahead and do that shit. And then white people now, they're just, they had that shit dude in Texas and shit like that. Motherfuckers was like, why are you fucking poking the bear, man? It got to a point where white people were like, would you stop poking the goddamn bear? Yeah, I understand it's your right to draw whatever you want to fucking draw, but every time you do that shit, somebody fucking dies. So white people, they stop that shit real quick. But see, with black people almost got the same issue as Asian Americans. Where Asian Americans are just seen as these soft targets and, they don't respond and whatnot, and they're docile and shit like that. Oh, black people got all the smoke in the world for each other. They got all the energy in the world for each other. But when it comes to the people that inflict harm on you from outside the community, we don't have the same energy for them. We try to shame them. We try to, wag our finger and say, oh, what you're doing is not right. Would you please stop? Again, civil disobedience is predicated on your enemy having a conscience. The idea that they actually feel bad about what they're doing, which is something that we get from these Abrahamic religions. We try to make an appeal, through religiosity, to them about that. Oh, well, if you all should stop because, it's not the Christian thing to do. We're Christians too. Black people try to do the same thing with the Arabs, because in the Quran it says you cannot, enslave another Muslim. So what they do, they said, all right, stop fucking the Somalian women and the Ethiopian women. Stop fucking them. Okay, we're done with that. Now we will go down into, Tanzania, and we will grab our slaves from there. But we will not procreate and mix with them, and we will not convert them. This is how this shit works. It's used as a political tool against us, and we still haven't got hip to that. Home Team History, he's got a bunch of videos that cover that subject. African kings converting to Christianity with the Portuguese, and then later realizing, like, oh shit, like, despite the fact that I made my whole country Christian, all it did was make it easier for the colonizers to come in and colonize. That's all it did. They're not treating us any differently because they see us as equals. They don't. So, again, when it comes to black people, I'm like, where is this shit benefiting us? And there's always this perpetual, hamster wheel of, oh, well, we haven't gotten right with God yet, right? Black people were more religious in the past, right? And some would argue we had more intact communities, in the past. But they always overlook the fact that the economic opportunities were there. After World War II, the rest of the world was bombed to hell. They weren't producing shit. Trenton's got the bridge that says we make what the world takes. Black people got the shitty jobs, but there was still an abundance of jobs. You could literally walk out of, the damn, I don't know, the Studebaker factory or the Packard factory and go walk into the Chrysler factory or the Ford factory in Detroit. That's how abundant the jobs were. You think that the Great Migration would have happened if there were jobs around, if there were economic opportunities? If there weren't economic opportunities, you think that would happen? You think black people would have said, I'm moving up to Detroit or Chicago if there were no jobs for them to walk into? See, y'all overlook these things. And you artificially, it's a silly idea to sit there and think that religion in and of itself is going to hold shit together. As though just a positive mindset or wishful thinking is going to hold shit together. You take away the jobs, you take away the economic opportunities, and shit will fall apart. Even white, that's the reality, even with white conservatives. Which is why you see them marching on capitals and state, federal government and local state capitals and shit. Why you see them marching on shit when it comes to, I remember when them teachers marched on the state capitol in Ohio when it came to their damn pensions. See, they understand money and the importance of it. But when it comes to black people, we don't understand the importance of it. And again, the biggest issue is, where old people don't have any hope and they're just like, oh, well, life has passed me by and, I never was rich and I never had anything and, this is what it is. And they try to, rationalize in their mind, that they led this successful life. Young people don't think like that. Young people got a lot of hope initially, that they can have more and do more and whatnot. And they're not just going to sit there and embrace your dustiness. You're on your way out the door. You didn't accomplish shit. And you got a 19-year-old that's saying to himself, why can't I have a BMW like the white guy I see, driving past in Center City? Why can't I have that? Totally different level of drive. But again, in comes the religiosity and the piousness and all that buttery goodness and whatnot. You didn't create anything. You got no killer instinct, no go-getterism, right? Or attitudes of ain't nobody going to eat off of me or some dumb shit like that. You're passing on no torches, and then what ends up happening? Your kids, they can't go to you for anything. Then you wonder why you don't get any respect. Then you turn around and try to use the Bible to rationalize or justify you getting respect. It's one of the 10 commandments. But then you still don't get it. See, the Bible to me and the Quran, it's anti-human nature. If you understand human nature, if you understand how people respond to shit, if you understand the dynamics of power, right? How, again, other groups, why do they respect their elders? They respect their elders because they eat off of their elders. You want to get an opportunity, you want to be put on, you got to fall in line, you got to conform to the people who have laid the foundations for you, because they're not going to give you the torch if you don't. But if you have no torches to give, why should the young people respect you? See, black people, we believe in intrinsics. I'm old, you should respect me. Nigga, I don't eat off of you. If I don't respect you, or if I disrespect you, literally nothing is going to happen. Literally nothing is going to happen. And once people are aware of that, like, you're in trouble as a black elder or a black older, you're in trouble. You know, and we can talk about, white supremacy and they did this and they block it and everything else. Yeah, that's one conversation to have. But you also have to acknowledge the other conversation is the fact that in your coping mechanisms of religion, you've thrown all this shit out. And now it's really too late for y'all to really do anything. That's the whole problem with coping mechanisms. Because, again, it's a bottomless pit. No matter how deep you fall, it's like, damn, I don't want to fall any further than this. You just keep falling and keep telling yourself that, one day I can fucking get out of this situation. No, there's a such thing known as an event horizon when it comes to black holes. It's the point of no return. It's the point where no matter what, you're going to freaking redshift and you're falling into the black hole and no light will escape. There's a such thing as that. And as in terms of the black community as a collective, I don't know if we've went past that point. I mean, Dr. Claude Anderson has pointed this out numerous times about if we don't fix it by a certain date, which we've already passed, by the way, then we're pretty much done. I mean, we can't even organize correctly when it comes to the election. We still out here doubling down on Democrats. We still are not out here voting as a block, demonstrating to both parties you have to earn our vote. And we want to see things, happen and change. And if they don't change, you're not getting our vote. Plain and simple. I mean, we don't even use the game of politics to our advantage. And then we got all these coons and these shills, that jump up and, talk their stupid shit, trying to get black people to stay on the plantation. Or then you got the coons on the other side, like Candace Owens, up there pandering to white people, making millions of dollars, pandering to white people, absolving white people of white guilt. That's her purpose. That's the purpose that she serves. There's money in being a white apologist. But, all this bullshit with the religion, I mean, just wasting time. Black people spending hours on Sunday in church, wasting fucking time. If they spent that same 4 or 5 hours in church learning how to write code, learning how to write HTML or C++ what's the iMac, what is it? The iMacros or some shit like that, man, please. But then we'd be doing something. Coming up with apps and shit, getting all this, making money while they're sitting on the toilet. Oh, somebody else bought my app today. Oh, another 500 people bought my app today. Getting paid. But no. Black people, nah, we want to sit there and be in poverty and waste our time sitting up in the church, worshiping, the same God that the very people who oppressed us gave us, like as though that's going to fucking benefit us. We sit there and waste our time with that bullshit. Thinking that the universe operates like a movie, where at the end of the movie, the protagonist, the hero, gets the girl and wins and they run off into the sunset and shit like that. Asian people, their movies don't even end like that. Their culture's completely different, and they're more productive than black people. In Asian movies, go watch movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or House of the Flying Daggers. Everybody dies at the end. That's how Asian movies, because they look at it like, the cycle of life. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's the end. And they actually end it. But Western movies, like, no, we're not going to tell you what happened. There was a kiss, the camera fades back, and they lived happily ever after. You don't know that shit. I mean, the majority of American marriages don't even end in happily ever after. But yet, people feed into they don't feel whole unless the movie ends with a happy ending. And this is how religion is. Happy endings. Everybody gets what they want. And like somebody wrote in the comment section, I feel the same way. And I, honestly, I couldn't word it better, but it's like, people somehow stupidly think that all the shit that they're being denied here, right, by this same God, right, that in one breath, God rewards here on earth, and then in the next breath, God doesn't work like that. God doesn't reward here on earth. But then when they die, they're leaving children behind. But when they die, they're like, I'm going to be rewarded when I get to heaven. And what? Share the same space with white supremacists? Oh no, the white supremacists, they'll be in hell. How do you know? You worship the same God. Hell, you worship the God that they gave you. As far as I'm concerned, they're in the right orientation because they believe in a white God and a white Jesus and white everything and white angels and all that other shit. You're just the ad lib to the song. You got the curse of Ham and all that other shit. They operate completely different. You're the one that's out there worshiping a white God that has a white son and doesn't look like you and everything. And somehow you think that this white Jesus is going to serve you. Then you get into the people that want to argue about, well, Jesus wasn't white and all this other shit. They're trying to act like Jesus looked like Idi Amin or some shit like that. I'm like, for real? For real? Even when people give you a black Jesus, they don't make him that black. Let's be real about that. You know what I mean? They'll have Will Smith play Jesus before they have Djimon Hounsou play Jesus. And quiet as it's kept, even black people are uncomfortable with that image. Just to show you how deep our self-hatred and anti-personal indoctrination goes. Even we're uncomfortable with that image. Despite black people, trying to, again, self-soothe and tell themselves, well, his hair was white like wool. Yeah, white like wool, not the texture of wool. And his skin color was the color of bronze. Notice how much you don't hear black people running around referring to each other as bronze colored and shit. We don't even use the term as religious as black people are. They're like, yeah, he kind of bronze-ish. You know what I mean? Like, no, we don't use that term. We don't use the term bronze. We use dark-skinned and light-skinned. That's what we use. Cut the bullshit. And that's another thing, like just all the intellectual gymnastics of the shit, because, oh my God, I'm taking you out of your comfort zone. I'm making you think about, what's going on in the world and making you realize that if we don't fix it, it ain't going to get fixed. Ooh, how dare I? Ooh, again, if you just want to be comfortable, it's like when you see these dystopian futures and you get these people who like want to live in virtual reality as opposed to reality. You know what I mean? Like that movie, A Player Unknown or whatever it was called. And there was another movie. I saw it on some, movies, mysteries recapped or something like that. I don't know if it was a British movie or something. Same thing. They had like half the world living in virtual reality and shit. And I definitely see something like that coming, man. Please, man. If you had, well, all these religion people, if they could spend their existence on the holodeck in Star Trek for just forever, they would. You could be anything that you wanted to be. Hey, I would go, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. You come up with a holodeck, and you say, where's Pete? Pete's on the holodeck. fucking. Pete is on the holodeck fucking some bitches. That's what the fuck I'm doing. Computer, 4 bad bitches immediately, right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be me on the holodeck. I'm getting some pussy on the holodeck. I don't know about y'all. I'm getting some pussy on the holodeck. All that other shit, you know, Jean-Luc Picard up there playing Shakespeare and shit. Hey, fuck me, fucking Shakespeare. I want a bad bitch. A bad bitch. Shit, I'd be getting the computer to freaking, come up with women that exist in real life that I want to fuck, but I couldn't fuck. I'd have them, you know, I'd be like, computer, come up with, said woman, and computer, Amara La Negra, computer be like, access denied. Cannot create woman that actually exists in real life. Computer, God damn it, I said Amara La Negra right now. Access denied. Like, literally, like, that's what would be going on. But so you get these people that they want to live on the holodeck. They want to live in virtual reality. Religion is virtual reality. It makes them feel good. It is a coping mechanism. It does not actually solve the problem. What it does is it makes you feel good about not solving a problem. It helps you cope with the reality of white supremacy. It helps you cope with the reality of poverty. Cope with it, deal with it, but it does not actually solve your condition. It is designed to be a tool for this state of mind. Again, like I said before, there's a difference between a state of mind and a state of being. A state of mind is being comforted. Comforted. A state of being is being comfortable. If I'm on a couch and I'm laying and reclined on a lazy boy, I am actually comfortable. That is a state of being. It's tangible. I can feel the leather wrapped around me and touch it and rub it. Okay? Being comforted is, your dog died and somebody's rubbing your shoulders. That's not going to bring your dog back. But the other person is comforting you and making you feel better about the fact that your dog died. But your dog is not coming back. And I remember when Cap, he had some woman that he was talking to. She was like a therapist or something like that. And even she had to admit, and this is when Cap, was finished with being a Jehovah's Witness. He went through all the chambers, the levels of being a Jehovah. He went through all that shit before Cap became an atheist. And it took a long time for him to even say, that he was an atheist. He was saying agnostic, all that stuff. That's like the people that like 40 cal as opposed to just going to 45 ACP from 9mm. They're like, I'm 40. That's kind of what being agnostic is. You don't know. So you're like, I can't deny or confirm. Maybe there is. You know what I mean? Like, people will ask me, like, do you think that there's a God? Personally, it's irrelevant. Even if there is, I'm one of the people that believe God created the universe and then, went somewhere else, disappeared. I'm one of those people. There's a whole bunch of unexplained shit. What's in between galaxies? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And what created the Big Bang? I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and waste my time when, again, you see all this shit going on in the world. You know what I mean? Ain't no lightning bolts being thrown. The ground doesn't open up. Black people running around worried about stepping on an ant. White people have done all this fucked up shit. All these people have died at the hands of, the white racial group and whatnot. And I haven't seen anything happen to them. You know what I'm saying? No waves, no tsunamis, no earthquakes, no plagues, no pestilence, nothing. Nothing specifically targeted at them. Hurricanes always slamming into freaking Miami and shit. I'm like, why don't you slam that shit into Europe? If it's all about God doesn't like evil and it's all about righteousness and justice and God enacts swift justice. Right? Which again contradicts the whole idea, because when you talk to black people will tell you, well, they'll be punished in the afterlife. I'm like, so everybody's got to die in order for there to be any real justice. If that's what you really believe, why do we even send niggas to jail? Why send anybody to jail? You know what I mean? Like, why, if somebody goes off and they kill your daughter or kill your relative or some shit like that, why don't you just wait till they die? Let them live their life as regular and then just wait till they die, since you're so certain that God is going to send them to hell and punish them. Right? Why don't you let that? Why make them sit in prison for the rest of their life? Why are you trying to punish them in the real world? Now think about that. You want them punished in the real world because you're not certain of anything being guaranteed in the afterlife, right? But then, when it comes to rewards in the real world, you somehow ignore, the idea of that, that you should be able to have now as opposed to waiting, in the afterlife. So when it comes to rewards, you're like, I'll wait for my reward in the afterlife. But if somebody wrongs you or your family, you want them punished right here and right now because you don't trust that the afterlife is going to punish them. It doesn't make any sense, bro. Doesn't make any sense. You're all over the place. See, I've said before that religion is not for thinking people. It's just not. It's not for people who can't turn their brain off because it doesn't make sense. But anyway, going back to, Captain Solo and the Jehovah Witness thing, what was I going to say about that? There was something I was going to say about the Captain Solo and the Jehovah Witness and him going through, he was talking to some woman and she was like a therapist or something like that. And, he was talking about jobs and economic opportunities and stuff like that. And she just basically said, and, I'm not getting all the details of the story, but in summary, she just pointed out, she was like, this isn't going to work on you. And he was like, what do you mean? It's just not going to work on me. She's like, it's not going to work on you. She was like, we don't solve problems. We help people deal with them. You know what I mean? You're saying very specific, finite things. I got a young man, he's got a kid on the way. He needs a job. That is the only thing that's going to solve his problem is gainful employment. He's got a baby on the way. He needs gainful employment to take care of the child. End of discussion. You see? But see, with black people, oh, brother, if you embody the light of Christ and this, that, and the third and blah, 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 it'll make your baby mama realize how great of a man that you are and this, that, and the third and blah, 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 blah. And then, the motherfuckers still don't have shit. Yeah, that may work for, the first couple of months. But after a while, she's going to get sick and tired of his ass because, he's a man and they have a child together and he's not providing. You can talk about, religion and God and, all this other shit. Again, people are not as forgiving as what you want to claim God is. And how would you feel about that as black people? It's like you sit there, we look at the inequality on earth. We know all the shit that white people have done, right, collectively and whatnot, the historical context of it. How would you feel if you get to heaven, right? Black people have been suffering for centuries. You get to heaven, all the inequality. And then God's like, got you, there's an Asian guy, Hispanic guy, white guy, and you're standing there. All of you are standing before God. And then God says, well, be it that I am benevolent. Everybody here is forgiven. You all can walk right past the gates. How would you feel about that shit? You would be like, wait a minute. So all that shit that they did on earth, you're not going to put, well, I'm God. I forgive. They forgive. He said he's sorry, and that's all there is to it. Mind you, that what's going on earth is still going on. The inequality is still going on. Your grandkids are suffering and living in poverty and all that shit. Their grandkids are not. You see? And yet in heaven, once you get there, everything is forgiven because I am a benevolent God and I forgive and they repented and that's all there is to it. But yet their seed gets to go on. Hell, your bloodline might even end because of the conditions in which your children are living while their bloodline goes on. Do you all think about that? Do you rationalize that? No, you don't. A whole bunch of uncertainty. And to me, it sounds like not only laziness, it sounds like fear. It's fear. You're scared to challenge anybody or anything, especially white people. You're scared. You saw this with the Obama election. Oh, Obama gonna lose. Massa ain't gonna vote for Obama. Obama gonna lose. You're scared. Scared to stand up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Scared to organize. Scared. Well, I mean, look at all the terrible, treacherous things that white people can do. And white people still got all the power. I mean, they can start fucking with your money and fucking with your jobs and your economic opportunities and shit. Again, the majority of which black people aren't receiving. We have the lowest percentage of any population in the private sector. Most of us work in the public sector. Again, threatening to deny us shit that's already been denied. Like the fuck? And y'all scared of that shit. You know, again, this is one of the reasons why, you know, most certainly, you know, the first obstacle, the first thing they want to prevent and stop is black people from educating themselves, from having their own schools to educate themselves. And this is why I said, like, well, you know, white people, like, they're full of shit. They sit there and, black people, personal responsibility. Y'all need to fix yourselves. Y'all need to do this. Soon as black people start mobilizing to do that, and white people start realizing, like, oh, shit, we're going to be excluded. Reverse racism. Like I told you that story a long time ago. That white kid that I argued with, and he was like, you know what my father says is the problem with the black community? You all don't take care of your own. You don't take care of your own community. That's the problem. Y'all need to organize and take care of your own. I was like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I was like, your dad's 100% right. That's right. We need our own black banks, our own black schools, our own black supermarkets, our own black businesses. Wait a minute. That sounds like reverse racism. I said, ain't this a bitch? Ain't this a bitch? You're bitching because you're claiming that we're not self-sufficient and we're mooching off of y'all and we're all on welfare and everything else like that. And then as soon as I talk about the personal responsibility to not be dependent on you, you see it as a threat. You see it as, I'm going to be excluded. What, the same way that you exclude us? You see? See, the whole idea of it all that shit that Candace Owens talking point, it's a mechanism of control. I want to keep you in a state where you're dependent, and then I use your dependence against you, and then when you try to become independent, I shoot that down as well because I still want to be in control. Your dependence gives me control. I don't want you to be independent. I don't want you thinking independently. Your dependence gives me control. And so if I can get you caught up, you know, in this loop of morality, again, I'm laughing my ass all the way to the bank. The same bank that if you wanted to get the ball rolling, you all would have to go to get permission from us to get a loan to even start a goddamn business. You have to be approved. So, reminds me of Atlanta's sister. You have to be approved. So anyway, shout out to Barbados for doing its own thing. But don't be surprised if they do to Barbados the same thing that was done to Jamaica. Tank the currency, International Monetary Fund, all that, just tank it to all hell. Your currency isn't worth, the money it's printed on, fuck your economy. We'll show you to gain independence from white authoritarian rule. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my rant. SWP out. And the last word, when it comes to the expression, notice that it's faith without works is dead, not works without faith is dead.